Hello, this is Ron Gerber of Angelbeat. Randall Hunt is a top technology evangelist at Amazon Web Services and a frequent speaker at Angelbeat. He is passionate, technologically savvy, and typical of the great speakers at our events. Listen to his comments as he discusses how AI-powered chatbots can improve call center productivity, how CSPAN uses AWS to keep track of every presentation made in Congress, and development strategies such as serverless, lower no-code programming, functions as a service, and containers.
That interface looks like, right? So you have this real-time transcription being created by Amazon Transcribe. So as the call is happening, you're getting the transcription. This text is being passed off to a model hosted on SageMaker, and it's going and it's saying these are suggested actions based on the text that we found, and it's basically augmenting the human agent with AI. It's saying, hey, human agent, you should offer a 25% discount, or you should investigate customer loyalty offers, or open a price matching ticket.
One of the customers that I worked with a couple years ago was called CSPAN. CSPAN, for those of you who don't know, is an American entertainment network. It is government broadcasting. And they wanted to build out a system where they could verify what politicians say, for whatever that matters. And that meant they were going to do real-time transcription of everything that they heard. They were going to do real-time identification of whoever was speaking. And a lot of the people responsible, the producers and things like that, they don't have encyclopedic knowledge of every single person who might be testifying or presenting or doing whatever that is aired on C-SPAN. So what they did is they said, all right, let's take all of this data, we'll push it through Amazon Recognition, which can do the celebrity detection, it can do the face identification, and then we're going to push all the text through Amazon Transcribe, which is going to do all the transcription of the spoken word. And then we're going to take that and we're going to throw it into Elasticsearch, and then we're going to add in keyframes in the video, and then every time you want to see what somebody's saying, you can do a little search, find a little information, and get the seek immediately to that point in the video.
So what happens is, maybe 5 years ago isn't accurate anymore, maybe this is 10 years ago now, you have this progression into these fast binary encoding, something that's packaged like protobuf or some other protocol, or you have JSON. And JSON is this nice balance between human readable, compressible, and programmatically accessible. And it's got enough kind of controls in it. You can have arrays, you can have objects, you can have subdivisions, and it fits very nicely into this world that we are rendering on screens for people, right? Especially in web applications, because what I can do is, or even telemetry events, I can say, hey, what's the minimum amount of stuff that I can return to render the maximum value for a customer in a single round-trip network request? And if you can answer that question, you can build just about any application. So, you start getting to this place where all this stuff is moving around all the time, and you have lots of different teams working, and you have all these kind of interdependencies, and it becomes tough to track. And there's no amazing solution for this. The kind of thing is, you have to decide if the velocity on these individual projects, if the velocity that this adds is greater than the cost of having that monolith where you're blocked on one thing, and that's preventing new features. And typically it is. So I'm not saying it is in 100% of cases, but 99% of the time, the velocity that you gain from being able to iterate on one component of the application and release new features there is greater than the velocity that you would lose by keeping everything as a monolith. So if we look a little further into the future, or even now, because this is how things work now, you start having these managed services, things like Amazon S3 or API Gateway or SNS, Kinesis, DynamoDB, more. And you start needing to answer requests coming in from these, and one of the ways that you can do that is by writing the minimum amount of code possible to render the maximum amount of information to your customers or to your downstream provider. And so you start writing a little bit of glue code. So you'll write these little Lambda functions, and Lambda is my favorite service after SageMaker, so we'll talk a little bit about those in a minute. And these little Lambda functions, they are ephemeral in nature. So what that means is, let's say you have a web request come in from API Gateway. That web request, it triggers one Lambda function, which can trigger subsequent Lambda functions, and you're only paying for the time that Lambda function is running. So you are building something called gigabyte seconds. So gigabyte seconds are like kilowatt hours. We all pay electricity, right? I live in California and have solar panels because it's amazing. Also, the weather is so much better. Sorry. Philly does have really good food though. Has anybody ever eaten at Han Dynasty?
Good, yes.
It's so good, right? Holy smokes. There's a Vice magazine article about that guy where he's just stoned and like stacking chairs the whole time. It's like, wow, what a nutty. So, when we talk about serverless, what we're talking about is minimizing the number of things that we're responsible for maintaining. We're trying to go from all these servers with these patches and all this other, accoutrement and all this nonsense that we don't really enjoy. I mean, has anybody ever enjoyed logging into 2,000 different servers and applying a security patch? Yeah, it's good fun, right? LOL, let me start up cluster SSH. On a Saturday, yeah. Best thing ever happened to me in, I think it was 2000, when was Hurricane Sandy? Was that 2011? So there's a reInvent talk about this from 2014 if anybody wants to go see it. I was working at MongoDB, a friend of mine, Eugene Ventimiglia, was working at BuzzFeed, and Sandy hit, and we had some servers co-located in the Verizon facility in Lower Manhattan. And I lived in Lower Manhattan, so my apartment was destroyed. I lived on the second floor, which is why it was destroyed. It was like flooded. All my clothes smelled like fish. It was good fun. South Street Seaport. What happened was, even though all the servers were above sea level, the generators in the building were below sea level. So I got a call from my boss and was like, hey, do you mind going to the data center, walking up 34 floors, and then getting on your bicycle, riding to JFK, and flying to Miami to put these hard drives into our Equinix data center. And midway up, of course I said yes, because I was young and essentially an overpaid intern. And midway up, I meet Eugene, who was CTO of BuzzFeed or something at the time, or director or something at BuzzFeed. And Eugene was not pleased with how many floors he was having to walk up. And so in complete violation of all of the rules of data center management, he's like, here are the keys to the cage. I want the following hard drives. I'm gonna sit on these stairs. So I ended up taking and carrying all of BuzzFeed in like my pocket. And this is before they were on another platform. And then I got on my bicycle, went halfway to JFK before I found a cab, left my bicycle, just like on the road, which I feel bad about. It's sort of like littering, but it wasn't there when I came back, so somebody made use of it. Went to JFK, hopped on a plane, went to Florida, plugged in all the hard drives, and that was my experience with data center management. So